Welcome to another episode of Speculative Speculations. I'm Varsha.
I'm Jared.
And this is a series where we talk about speculative stories in all their forms. We are continuing to work our way through Reamde. We are literally soldiering our way through this book. We read days 17 and 18. No, 9, 10, 15, and 17. I'm sorry. Those were the days we read. 118 through 713 where the page counts, and we will be talking about that today. Whether we've been a little down on this book, we're going to see if anything that happened in this book brings it up any more than it did last week. We are also, as always, continuing to work our way through the big book of science fiction, and this week's short story is 3 from Moderan by David R. Bunch. In a double whammy of interesting-ishness for this week's discussion. The short story for next week is going to be Let Us Save the Universe by Stanislaw Lem, who is an author I've been meaning to read, so this should be interesting to check out his short story. And for Reamde, we're going to be reading days 18 and 19. That's what I was thinking of when I did the introduction. Pages 714 to 830. After this, we'll have one more... Well, after the one for next week, we'll have one more discussion, and then that'll be the end of the book. And, oh yeah, the book after that is A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martin, which is much shorter, and I expect to like much more. It's going to be very easy to follow this particular book that we've just finished, that we would have just finished. All right, with all that said, day 9, which, if I remember correctly, is Zula getting locked in a part of the RV, right? Or was that the next day?
I mean, this happens a lot. Zula gets locked up a lot in these 140 odd pages. Like, it's just, she gets locked in a hotel room, she gets locked in an RV, she has a toilet, she doesn't have a toilet, they've got a webcam spanner, they don't have a, like, if that's what they call rich character development, I'm not quite sure what I was expecting.
Yeah. We got some Shongor backstory too, which was less than interesting. But we'll get there. Yeah, I was trying to figure out why this section of the summary said rich character development. We did spend some time with all of these people, and I guess we got some more. Richard and Olivia spent some time with his brothers, and we got some history there. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like he picks really strange moments for the info dump. Like, you know what? I was talking before the recording, and there were a lot of Goodreads reviews that talked about how the info dump is Neal Stephenson's forte, and that may very well be true. This is the only second Stephenson book I have read, but it feels like at least the places that he has chosen to put them in here really take you out of the story. Sure, they are waiting and not much is happening, but you can skip ahead in the narrative and give us more information. A lot of this could be things that we got in the beginning. I didn't mind the setting up all the way in the beginning when we got all that information about the game, because we recognized that it's a 1,000-page book and we need some setup. But then 700 pages in, we're getting what I'm fairly certain at this point is going to be a completely unnecessary backstory for how the brother settled down in the part of the country that he did, and his worldview, and oh man, that's it. You guys go.
I had a sticky note here for each day that we read this week, and it starts with boring, then goes to equally boring, then goes to better, then goes to boring, but so yeah, wow. I mean, this is the kind of dialogue we get right here in day 9. I suppose going to the powder room is out of the question. This is Zula when she's kidnapped by these terrorists and tied up in a sleeping bag, right? And he goes, "You'll just have to go inside the bag." It's inane. It's just so frustrating that this is the attitude that these characters have. This kind of quasi joking with each other is they're not taking the situation seriously, and it's if this was treated with any kind of um respect for the characters, it wouldn't sound like that. It just wouldn't sound like that.
That could have been a really tense situation, but you know, the it ended on a bit of a tense note, right? When Zula gets locked up in that room that they built for the bus, but she's apparently clueless the whole time about exactly what they are doing, and she has no fear for herself, and she's secretly thinking about how she can manipulate her way out of these. Oh, the men like her, these people will fall for her too. And I mean, come on, these they are recognized terrorists. They are people who have been indoctrinated into a certain point of view, which presumably has absolutely no respect for women especially, but for human life in general. And you think that you can talk your way out of this? Where is the fear in this? And here's another thing that is making me really mad. She gave them the wrong apartment number because she felt guilty about Wallace. She felt guilty about the fact that, this guy, that the kids could die if she sends them to the right apartment, right? But she is freely giving information to the terrorists about a drug route, about a smuggling route that they can transmit. Like, even if she gets out of this situation and they all die, that is information that is out in the wild for use by people who will mean no good for you. So why is that okay? Where is even the moral dilemma where she thinks about this for 2 seconds? Yeah, sorry.
No, right?
Yeah, all legitimate questions, and not only that, but you mentioned Vasha, that she's trapped inside this RV that they turned into a boarded up prison, but the whole time we're getting her thoughts about what their thoughts are about why they're boarding her up. How would she know any of that? It was all from her point of view, but yet she knows exactly what they're thinking and why they're doing it and why they're doing what they're doing. And I'm just like, I wish that it was shown as her speculating about what they're doing, and then shown to be, because you whenever you speculate about what anybody's doing, you're always wrong. You're never even 50% right most of the time. And so this idea that that's how we're getting our information about what the terrorists are doing through the narrative, and why is that correct? And I'm just like, wow.
There was a lot of stuff, and this happened last week too, and I forgot to bring it up, but there were a lot of sections where they were doing this reasoning by laying out option A, option B, option C, and they'd have these elaborate reasoning about what each of those could be. And honestly, a lot of them didn't make sense and didn't warrant that level of deepish thinking, that like it looks deep, but it's really not. It's like the first thought you would have doesn't require this checklist that you're creating to figure out which it is. Like, move past that, like, skip a few steps and get to some deeper conclusions and respect the reader, please. Sorry, Chris, you were going to say something.
We'll say a lot. This Zulu character and storyline is the most idiotic thing from start to finish. Like, it's absolute. She is essentially being tortured. Yet we, the reader, feel no stakes. Nobody behaving like a jihadist. They keep on using this word jihadist, and it has absolutely no meaning other than it basically talks about their ethnicity. I mean, that's literally the only thing that's happening here. And then while they're torturing her and doing all this, they kind of come along and have this like, this book is full of these stupid conversations about technology, which I'm sure we'll get to. But then they have this discussion about her Flickr account and how that validates her whole existence. And I was like, what is happening here? This woman's been tied up, chained to bed. She's not even allowed on the bed in case she can get to the window. And just making a little nest on the floor, and she has a secret key, which is like supposed to be this big MacGuffin thing that we've got coming up. Like, I'm sure. And it's like, none of this either makes sense, or has any kind of relevance, especially when you put in the flippant nature of the dialogue. Sadly to say, it's not just Zula; it extends to Olivia as well. I mean, her this female character thing is just absolutely driving me insane. Like the rich character development, Olivia, I'm sure we'll get to, but honestly, it's just the worst thing I've ever read. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Yes, let's talk about Olivia's rich character development. Apparently, she okay, first of all, why do you need to play T-Rain to know more about the niece of the guy who owns it? Like, why is that a thing? Let's move past that. But she has an idea about how to destroy this person, like this Osama bin Laden level person.
Yes, from
But
Wales.
she will keep it to herself because she doesn't want someone else to get ahead on her ideas. Because that's how this stuff works. Because, at those levels of stake, I'm sure there's the occasional asshole who does operate in that way. But seriously, like, that's the mindset you want to give your character? What? She has an idea. She thinks it is good, but no, I'll just keep it to myself. I want to chase this down. I want to tell someone else because I don't want someone else to take credit for it, because that's the most important thing in this situation. You have had your identity stripped. You basically don't have a life. You do all of this, but you want you want to get ahead on the corporate ladder. Oh my god.
Oh, how does she know that Zula's in North America? How does she know? They make an attempt to explain it, but there's absolutely no way she could know. Like, through this whole reverse engineering of a couple of days, which absolutely drove me insane. We jumped forward 6 days, and then it just spent, from multiple people's point of view, recounting the previous days. Why? Like, this makes absolutely no sense. If you're doing a structure about going day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 16, but it's really days 10 to 15. Like, it's just like, what is going, like, it's honestly disastrous. I think I'm just every time a flaw. Like, as Jared said before, it's so easy to read, even as an audiobook. Like, it just sort of flows over the top of you. I did a 2 hour car journey earlier on with it on the background, and it honestly, you get everything from it, and then it will just hit these moments of like, what is this? This is utterly insane. Like, this is like somebody's first writing project that has never been edited. That they've never been edited before.
No, I was just going to bring that up because this is the stuff that I got hammered for in creative writing classes, right? You brought up the MacGuffin earlier of the lock, right? Where we saw what she did, which could have been a clever moment all on
Hmm.
its own if it was in another context or whatever. But then later on, when the terrorists are frantically searching for the key and all that stuff, right? And she's like explaining what they're doing. They're looking around, they're having arguments, they're focusing on this mysterious padlock, and then he tells us, this, of course, was because Zula had put it there when none of them had been looking. No shit. We just read the whole section of what she was doing when none were looking. Why do we need to be hit over the head again with that line? And I actually wrote that. I wrote, no shit, right there. I wish
Yes,
it wasn't a
and
library book because I would have scratched it in there.
he does that. I'm gonna send you a copy, Jared, so that you can mute later. Oh my god, this.
You've got to leave that stuff inside when you return it, Jared. This is the important thing.
Yeah, no kidding.
the he does that so many times where
He
something
does.
is obvious to us, but he'll write an entire paragraph about why something is the way it is. We got it. You told us that maybe 3 pages ago. I don't need you to repeat that information.
Yeah, and those are the worst parts. The worst parts, like what Chris said earlier, the ones with her and the terrorists. Like some of the other parts, I can deal with.
Okay. Yeah, I
It's
agree.
like they're okay. The spots with Richard are okay. Olivia's, doing a dipshit thing, but they're okay. It's just the Zula and the terrorist thing is you're right, Chris. It's just really unbelievable.
Dumb. Just dumb. The Richard stuff, at least he seems to be doing normal things that you would do, like applying for visas. I mean, it's not very exciting. It definitely falls under the tag of boring, but at least it can go. I mean, procedurally, that is, he couldn't do anything for a few days because he was waiting for visas, he's trying to do it properly and all that kind of stuff. And then goes to the airport, flies about, and the people that he's talking to and the things that he's talking about sort of make sense within the context of things that he might be doing, because that's the breadcrumb trail that he's been left. But as soon as you step away from him, everybody else is a fucking idiot, whether they're an international terrorist or a low-level agent, or the people that are dealing with the low-level agent, or the people that are running the hunting squad for the major terrorist. Like, oh Jesus Christ! Honestly, can't wait to talk about Seamus.
Oh yeah, that pretty boy.
Oh sweet
Was that
Jesus!
the one? Is that the one her boss warned her not to sleep with?
Yeah.
Right, and then and I think he wrote that whole section just so he could make that joke about, well, James Bond can do it, so can I. Like
That
that's
was
the whole
that was
reason he
another
wrote.
line. That was another line. I went, oh Jesus, this is
Yep.
yes,
Just like
this awkward sexual moment has just been created for that quip.
just for that quip. Yeah, exactly. It was just like,
But the rich character development there was that she wanted to but didn't. I mean,
Such self-restraint.
which would have meant something if she hadn't slept with Sokolov a couple of chapters ago, the 15 minutes after meeting him.
yeah, and had that,
She was just sad and fearful for her life, and this is what she could do. It. Oh my God. And then, okay, you know what? Do that stuff. But why the immediate moral judgment after? Like, she calls herself a slut, and then she hates herself over it vaguely, and then she needs to think that it is love. And just, okay, you want to make that James Bond joke? At least, cut out the
Mhm.
moral judgment on the same level. And
Are you sure that was her and not Sokolov thinking her thoughts for her?
Mm,
but it was both.
Mr. Y.
She called herself a slut, then Sokolov told us why she cares, because she needs this to mean something. And then proceeds to pretend to be dead so she can have a good life.
I was a little disappointed in Richard when Richard sort of was having this conversation with Olivia / Laura when they're busy. He's tired about these people even off in Sokolov, and Laura's telling him that Sokolov's a good guy and he was going to help through the escape, based apropos on nothing, like really. But that Richard didn't go. That doesn't make any sense. This guy's an international security consultant, hitman kind of thing. Like what?
Yeah, isn't this the guy who kidnapped my niece? Wait a minute.
Yeah. And also, how is she making these declarations about Sokolov? She slept with him once. I don't think she has any other emotional connection besides that.
We've known him for about 5 hours, 6 hours, something like that. It feels like,
She's telling her superiors she's angry at them all for killing him.
But Vasha, didn't you see how he took those guys out in the hallway? That's amazing. I'm in love.
That's
right?
it. He saved her life. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now.
Top 5 in the world of hitting the ground.
That's right.
That's impressive shit. That's honestly like when you were 7 years and 8 years old, when you're trying to impress women, with to see what I can do. It's like doing a wheelie in your bike. That's who Sokolov is.
All right. Makes sense now. All of this makes so much more sense.
Perfect sense.
And like she won't confirm to them which the Sokolov guy was.
If nothing else, it's become highly entertaining for its levels of ludicrousness in this discussion. I'm sort of I'm sort of enjoying the conversation about. I can't believe this happened and nobody batted it.
Yes, all the connections you can make for why many things don't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's too bad,
I mean,
because
sorry, go ahead.
I do enjoy the little bits about about that relate back to the game, which I thought this novel was going to be about, and it's not. When they do finally get back to that, and like they talk about how the part of the corporate strategy in hiring psychologists and stuff like that to get their customers and players addicted to the state of mind where they simply can't stay away for more than 2 hours and stuff like that. That's interesting stuff. It's relevant stuff to us nowadays too, and so every once in a while we get that little glimpse into something, and it's always when it's getting back to the game, and I'm just like, why can't the novel actually be about this stuff?
Yeah, like the meta stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I think if the rest of the story made sense, I wouldn't have minded the info dumps. Right? Like, sure, they're just information. They're occasionally useful and good to know, but it it's just things have started to fall apart for me. Like, why do people do the things they do? Why do they say the things they do? It doesn't make sense. They're
Yeah.
not consistent, especially with Zula, with trying to save a bunch of kids she hasn't met, but happy to let terrorists across the country so she can save herself. Okay, and yeah, I'm just not getting behind the reasoning for why any of these characters are doing what they're doing, even though we're getting pages and pages of said reasoning.
Yeah. You know what would have been really tense and exciting and a really great stressful hook would have been if we never heard from Zula again after
Yes.
after the apartment, and then Richard gets that letter.
Yes.
That would have been like, what the hell? You know, that would have set something in motion, being like, wow. And but because of the ridiculousness of Zula from the point where she was kidnapped and how that all goes down in China and then back, and we don't get when Richard gets that letter, we don't get any sense of drama because we already knew about it, and we knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, I wish, because that could have been placed so well in a novel that was shorter and made more sense.
Yeah. Did you like how some of the jihadists, because they grew up in North America, speak in English, even though they speak other languages that Zula doesn't understand, because they just can't help themselves.
Yeah, the language thing also drives me mad. These people are literally from all over the world, and nobody has any problem communicating. The Hungarian, the Hong Kong, the Chinese, the Welsh, the American, the Eritrean, the Canadian. Even Canadian and Americans have trouble communicating in the real world like this.
Even the guy from Boston.
James from Boston. I mean, this stereotype city.
Oh, wicked bad, man.
the guy who looks like bacon, apparently. Yep. That guy, right?
Yep.
He was lean like a strip of bacon that had spent too long in the pan. I'm gonna put that on a t-shirt.
With a Boston Celtics logo next to it.
Oh. Like bacon.
And on the back, I get horny when I do action. You get horny too. Yeah.
Is your name Sokolov?
Okay. Just call me Mr. Y.
Yeah, what's up with that? Right? Okay.
Do you know what? Funny you should mention some of the stuff you've been talking about there, Jared, in terms of what they could have done instead. There's definitely a decent 350, 400 page book in this.
Right. Oh, yeah. Agreed. Yep. Yeah. I think a really good developmental editor could have made something really nice with this.
But then the book wouldn't have been a weapon. Maybe that's how Zula's going to get free. She's going to hit them over the head with a copy of Reamde.
Maybe.
And then that will make sense.
Here's your virus. Bam.
It's not Reamde. It's Read Me. More quips.
Yeah, there you go.
So the plan is that they get money from her family for Zula, and
no, sorry, this is dumb.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, we're gonna fly all around the world to extort. With this person's been kidnapped, the extortion money from somebody who's obviously very well connected and has a lot of money. That's kind of, that told storyline.
So, well, originally I predicted there was going to be a shootout at the ranch, but maybe now it's going to be at this little Smuggler's Notch place that Rich's brothers owns or lives at or something like that.
Thanksgiving. So, oh, the section where they were reading the map, that was exciting as well. That was fantastic.
Yeah, I love maps.
And Jim is trying to use her local knowledge of how to read the map and how to get from the mountains to the mountains to the.
Yeah, that's the section where she tells him how to smuggle stuff into the country, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep, perfect. So the stuff in Philippines, pretty sure that's a place where it's a mail order bride thing, right? That's where he's getting to very not subtly. I don't even know what the purpose of that is, but
It's just another country, isn't it? It's just another
yeah,
place to go to. Language barrier that they don't have to jump and get through because they have computers and they're all connected and the world's connected through computers and you can just go into internet cafes and
yeah,
reformat drives and stuff as you quite rightly put. That's all very easy. To be fair, he is a hacker, so I'm not saying that it's unlikely that he could be able to do it, but like, why?
yeah. Exactly. Why did he do that? I don't understand. Did he buy the computer? Did he rent it for using for several days? I don't understand. I feel like at least back home, I haven't used an internet cafe in the US, but if I went and tried to format their computer, I am sure they'd make me pay for the damn thing.
Well, I'm pretty sure there must be some sort of network software that basically says this is what's happening on that computer right now. You know what I mean? If
Uh-huh.
you're running it, anyway, maybe I'm just getting too inside baseball on it. Again, there's lots more other things to be annoyed about, but it's just another one of those things that you just step back and go. Every time he tries to talk about technology that's not the game that he invented, that he created the system and the psychology
Yeah,
of for, it falls flat.
I agree. I was wondering if, his other books are just almost exclusively made up technology, and if he's bringing that need to explain how everything works into real world technology, and we just don't need it. Even in 2011, I don't think there were so few people on the internet that you needed to explain all of this in such detail. And I definitely don't think someone would be going to an internet cafe and formatting that computer because it has viruses and is too slow to send an email.
Wasn't he
Ooh,
also explaining it to Yuxia the whole time he was doing it?
think so?
Because she was very interested in getting in touch with her family, and that was the whole point of it, I think. And I mean, I don't know, that part didn't bother. I don't know anything about computers, so that part didn't bother me that much. Other than the fact that I just don't know where that storyline's going. It wasn't that interesting because of that. Because they haven't. Where's the connection to the rest of the book at this point? Maybe there will be one. So maybe that somehow King Kong there is gonna get in touch with Zula through the microchip she found in one of the building materials on the RV or something. Who knows? But the I mean, unless Congo is just waiting around until he can reunite with Zula finally at the end and proclaim his true love and what have you.
And will fall in love with Jones at that stage, and Jones will fall in love with her because literally he's the only person in the world at the moment that hasn't fallen in love with Zula. So
yeah, and because he made her pee in the bag.
That's right. Bad move on his part. Bad move.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's exhausting.
Yeah, I guess Yusha was the only female character that I was liking, but again, she's not really necessary in the story anymore until, like, except to know how she ended up. That could have been a bit of an epilogue.
Her character is a wonder because as soon as she was introduced and she was stuck in the van, she's literally she didn't need to exist. At that stage, she's done nothing at this point other than just exist with Marlon and Chungar. I mean, all three of these characters are sort of weird. It feels like Chungar's going to have a bit of a part to play for sure. Marlon, okay, he's the guy that designed the Varas, but does anybody actually care about the Varas at this stage? Like, not really, apart from the big pile of gold that's sitting in the game that wouldn't be sitting there anymore. Like, this is just, again, nonsense. If this was actually a game, it would have been gone within about an hour. But yes, it's almost like he doesn't know what to do with these characters that he's created, that he used, and he didn't want to kill everybody off in one go. Keep them around, sort of keep it going. But this storyline feels tacked on every time it comes back to them. I think even it's like nearly 300 pages of a gap between we see them and don't see them. You know, it's almost as if he realised I don't really have an awful lot for these people to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna float in the sea for a while.
There was one moment of let's call it introspection with Chongor when he was looking at Yuxia and thinking that in another world he'd probably be in love with her, but now he wants Zula, and there's something clearly going on between Marlon and Yuxia. He thinks of Yuxia as a bit of a sister now, and Marlon probably is jealous of the fact that he's staring at Yuxia for so long. I mean, you could have done all that with just, exchanging looks. That's all you need. A few sentences about about how people exchange looks. That feels sufficient.
Now, Vasha, don't judge. We just read Ishiguro, so it's not the same.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What you said, Jared, like attributing thoughts and speculating about, at least he's asking it as a question here instead of just concluding that that's what he must be feeling. But
yeah, right.
But again, these people have just fought for their lives, have barely made it, far away from home. Maybe something is starting to develop there. Do you think that now is the time that they would indulge themselves in thoughts about whether this would have been someone he'd fall in love with? I feel like when they are about to separate and go their own ways, maybe something that elaborate at that time, perhaps. But right now, and they still don't know where the hell they're going to end up, does not seem like a good time.
I don't know. We don't think about that stuff a lot.
Yeah, I see.
Fair enough.
Especially, he's had nothing to do for 300 pages. Like, this is the kind of stuff that's filling his blank space.
Yeah. He's sitting on a raft, he's sitting around. Who knows?
Okay. New objection. If that is where his thoughts are headed, why do I need to hear about it?
Yeah. Well, fair. Yeah. Fair. I don't know. I can't. It's hard to try to explain. Like we're trying to think up stuff to explain this bad plotting, but we can't do it.
So, yeah, I think the pot of gold that Richard is working on figuring out, it's all going to come together in the next 300-ish pages, nearly 400 pages.
I hope the ending is at least somewhat rewarding of this book, because this is one of those cases where a lot of people say, well, it's the journey that matters, but not in this case. It's either going to be a good ending or the book is going in the fireplace.
Well, I think next week we'll have good fun with trying to work out what happens in the last 200 pages, like where it ends up, because I have a feeling like it should have quite a long tail. There's a lot of people probably got to come together at some stage. Again, it seems unlikely, but so I expect that whole section to be quite long.
Yeah. There is a a section in the audiobook entitled End Credits, which is 4 hours long.
Jesus. I thought it was actually just the end credits.
No, it's 4 hours long.
A little meta thing. The accents in the audiobook are so atrociously bad. I'm starting to wonder if the guy read the book and went, I've got to get into the theming of kind of how campy and silly this all is, so I'm going to do these accents badly on purpose.
That that would be some interesting method reading on the part of the reader.
Audiobook reader of the year.
Yeah. I'm vaguely enjoying the audiobook, I guess. I'm not.
It makes it easy to read. It makes it
Yes.
easier to read because I can literally just kind of throw it on in the background of something else I'm doing, or if I'm walking or something, when you kind of just let it flow, you get all the details, you get the introspection, you have those couple of moments, you go, oh dear God. But ultimately, you're just following the story because it is quite easy to understand. It's not very complicated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So it'll be interesting to see where this book goes. It'll be nice to be sort of done with this book and move on to the next one. Are we ready to talk about the short story? 3
Sure.
from Moderan by David Butcher.
You can introduce it, Farsha, because I'm interested to know what you thought of it.
Okay. So David Butcher,
David Bunch.
David Bunch. Damn it! Why did I
No,
think
sorry.
Jim Butcher? Okay, that's
Bunch.
her.
Yes.
Yes, David Bunch. Thank you. Has a collection of stories in the world called Moderan, and this short story is actually 3 short stories from this world. Starting with a man who becomes a metal man, talks to a metal man, then becomes a metal man, and then meets a flesh man, and things happen during this time. I can't say I understood much more than that. I can't say that I got this right either, because I did not understand too much from the story.
Interesting. I thought the first story was about terraforming the whole world with plastic.
Yes.
Yeah, that happens too.
That's all I got out of the first story. Like, literally, that's all I got out of it. The only other thing I got out of it is that the author, Mr. Bunch, I'm sorry, I'm so sarcastic at the moment, but that's what Reamde's done to me. He discovered capital letters for emphasis when he was writing.
Yeah.
What gives? What gives?
Jesus Christ. The amount of time. Stronghold 10, Stronghold 10. It's like, yeah, somebody introduced him to capital letters. Like, this is the greatest literary invention I've ever seen.
I did not figure out what was up with all the plastic in the stories. I think it was mentioned in the later stories too. So they are terraforming with plastic. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they're covering the world with a great big whitey gray envelope of thick, tough, sterile plastic.
Sounds good. I think there was one line that I think might potentially summarize the cross-cutting theme across the stories, although I wouldn't be able to tell you how. That humans were born out of a dead, cold world, and what sense does it make that when we leave, the world becomes dead and cold again? And I think with these stories, he's railing at what we have been doing to our environment, but again, I couldn't tell you how.
No, I think you're right.
It's all tongue in cheek, and it's all it's all a big statement saying, where the world is getting poisoned, because this is a post-apocalyptic set of stories here. The world is poisoned, and now they have to, do the jammy rams and the sterile plastic and the small bores of significance that when recalled later are larger bores, and and he does mention a couple of times about the guy who's made of metal, the king metal man. He he when he meets the fleshy guy, he's wondering about whether he's poisoned or not and all that stuff, and and it's just it's kind of crazy. And it to me, when I was reading this, I was like, this seems like a really bad imitation of Cordwainer Smith.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
It's
who
that
I
kind
thought
of
of too. Yes.
it's
It's
that
that
bizarro kind of thing. Yeah.
bizarre wackiness, but of course, Cordwainer was a master at that. So, and this guy didn't measure up to Cordwainer, but that's the feeling I was getting, and I was just like, boy, here we go. And then, but it didn't have the same sense of fun that Cordwainer had.
Yeah.
It was lacking in a little something that made Cordwainer just that weird enough that you liked it, and
So
somehow.
the person that I thought of when I was reading it was Blish, actually, because
Hmm.
everything was very functional. But I do like the almost surrealness that he was going for in a Blish style, in terms of like taking this kind of this world with interesting stuff and sort of stripping all emotion and making it cold the whole way across, which is sort of what I get from Blish's writing. When we've done that, I actually thought the last part, the third story, made a bit of sense about this person that had traveled long and far and wide to try and get to see somebody, and he thought he was going to find happiness, or a happiness machine at the
Yeah.
end of it, and the thing that he came to at the end, person, robot thing, whatever he comes to, is basically saying, why would anybody think that? And it's like in humanity has kind of improved itself in terms of like improving the natural resources of the earth by covered in plastic, which is a bit on the nose, I think, in terms of like a waste of resources to protect natural resources by, but plastic is better than any kind of natural material. I think it's a bit on the nose about that. But also that in the pursuit of being better, and I think this has some meaning, that we take away what is fun about life. We don't create anything like that fun in terms of like better productivity, better, outcomes, all of that kind of stuff. And he talks about what his fun is, but it's all functionality. It's about I'll do these tasks and that's how I'll fill my day. And he's almost mocking the person that thinks he would come and that there would be some existence of happiness anywhere in the world. Like, how foolish is him? And I thought that had some sort of resonance to it, like, to be fair. I really didn't understand it very well, because he made up so many words, and his sentences don't really make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I that the made up words, I think, sort of was the biggest reason why I didn't fully understand, because structurally the story was hard to get. I didn't know what was going on. And normally when that happens, you can reread or slow down and figure out what's going on. But because of the made up words, I that don't really get an explanation in other parts, like not even in an info dump, like with signals and whatnot. I don't think I would have got it if I if I'd read it a few more times. Yeah. The Cordwainer Smith comparison is interesting, because it could be that my reading of the introductory author introduction colored the story, but there seemed to be a vague undercurrent of anger in these stories, which is completely missing from the Smith
Right.
stories.
That's
So
true.
I think you talked about the missing fun of it all, Jared. Like, it's, even though it's surreal and seems practically silly what they are talking about, it feels underlined by some anger that I'm not fully understanding, like, or don't fully understand the source of it. I can guess by the fact that they're trying to cover the planet in plastic what it is he's angry about, but I don't fully get it from the story, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Great leaping lead balls bouncing on bare flesh toes. Where would you find a sentence like that?
Yeah, stuff. To be fair, you really making me think with the Cordwainer Smith comparison, because I think there's definitely um, a lot to be said about that. And I wonder if we had got three small stories or short stories from the rediscovery of man, I suspect I would have had a very similar thought about that. as I do about this book, although it probably reads a bit easier, but there is a surrealness to it, and it's only through repeatedly working your way through Smith stories that you sort of see the connective tissue that comes. And maybe if I read the entire book, which is in the MYRB Classics, as it turns out, partly, this Moderan book is one of those. The whole thing, maybe the connective tissue of the thing as we go along might make it make a lot more sense, because I definitely remember having very similar thoughts of reading Gordon Smith's thing, getting about halfway through that book and thinking, this is such utter nonsense. I don't think I've ever read anything as crazy in all my life. None of this makes sense. And yet, as you made your way towards the end, and especially after we had our conversation, I was like, this is all one world. It's sort of genius on another level that
Yeah.
I didn't see until I kind of put it all together. So I think, yeah, it's interesting. I'm sort of like in one half, like I'd never want to read that book, but also it's piqued my interest a little bit.
Yeah. I see what you mean. I did wonder if this would have been easier to follow if we had a different introduction to the world. But also I'm thinking back to the Corvinus Smith. The first story, if you remember in that collection, is a man who gets really angry because he's half metal
That's
and
right.
he occasionally wants to be full flesh, which, like, again, I think has echoes to the second and third stories a little bit. But I didn't have trouble understanding what was happening. More
That's
about,
true.
like, what is the author trying to say with this? Like, what this seems like an immense amount of silliness, and I feels like he wants to do more than just be silly with this, right? I get that second part, that it's all very silly, and I don't know what he's doing with the silliness. But I also just don't know. I did not get what was happening, what they were saying to each other, what even was like. If you ask me to describe the scene, I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know if that's just me. Maybe I need to go back and read it in a better mood. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Maybe.
that's the one reason why I would hesitate to read this, even though Corvinus Smith ended up working on me eventually. But yeah.
I mean, maybe with a bigger picture, we would have a better clue as to what's going on here. But
That's true. Yeah, maybe some of those words
taking
are explained in other stories, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
taking that leap would be would be a leap of faith, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, any other closing thoughts about this story or Reamde?
We're
Bring
good.
it on.
Bring it on. Okay, then we will bring on days 18 and 19 next week, and the short story Let Us Save the Universe by Stanislaw Lem. And once again, if you're reading along with us or want to decide whether to read along with us on the next book, we're going to be reading A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martin. That's all. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.